Faces of forgotten suffering, the scars of slavery, whipped Peter. In 1863, a photo shook the conscience of America. It showed the back of an escaped enslaved man known as Whipped Peter, his skin lacerated into a grotesque map of scars from years of brutal whippings. This wasn't just a photograph. It was evidence proof of a system too monstrous to ignore. But after emancipation, the image was buried in dusty archives. Why? Because the new narrative of healing and unity didn't leave room for the raw reminder of slavery as cruelty. Imagine the photographer's trembling hands as the shutter clicked. He wasn't capturing art, he was documenting horror. The child labor exposed. Now picture this. A small boy, no older than 9, covered in soot, his eyes hollow with exhaustion, standing in a Pennsylvania coal mine. In the early 1900s, photographer Lewis Hine went undercover to capture these haunting images. They became weapons in the fight against child labor. But here's what most don't know. Many of Hine's photos were locked away after labor reforms passed. Powerful corporations didn't want these grim reminders resurfacing. Decades later, historians stumbled upon them in the Library of Congress. The expressions on those children's faces. Timeless, haunting, a photo too dangerous. The execution at Barley in 1923. A secret photograph was smuggled out of Barley, prison in Scotland, showing the final moments before a condemned man was hanged. Authorities tried to suppress it, not because it was gruesome, but because it humanized the prisoner. It raised questions about capital punishment at a time when the public was meant to trust the system blindly. Today, only one faded print survives, a ghostly testament to a justice system that demanded silence. Strangeness of the everyday. The bizarre beauty standards. The year is 1931. In a Paris beauty salon, women sit calmly as monstrous metal contraptions wrap around their heads. These were early permanent wave machines, giant hair-curling devices that could easily electrocute or burn clients if mishandled. Photographers documented these surreal scenes, but the beauty industry fought to keep them hidden. Why? Because they revealed the dangerous extremes of early 20th century beauty trends. Rocket Men of the 1940s. A 1943 photo shows 2 engineers testing an experimental jetpack in Germany. The device failed spectacularly, injuring one tester. This image wasn't released until decades later because of its ties to secret military projects. For years, people debated whether it was even real. When it finally surfaced, it felt like something out of a science fiction comic, except it was history. Animal oddities. One photo from 1920s Berlin shows a family posing proudly with their pet bear, a live bear tied on a leash like a dog. In another, circus performers balance on galloping horses with flaming hoops. These photos, once considered mundane, now seem surreal. They remind us how much the boundaries of normal have shifted over time. War's Unseen Faces, the secret photographer of Paris during the Nazi occupation of Paris. A department store clerk named Raoul Minot risked his life to take hundreds of covert photos of daily life under German rule. Why were they hidden? After the war, authorities feared they would reignite resentment and hinder reconstruction efforts. When they resurfaced in the 1990s, viewers were struck by the quiet resistance in everyday Parisians' eyes. The Horrors of Nanking. One banned photograph from 1937 shows civilians tied together, moments before execution by Japanese soldiers during the Nanking massacre. It was deemed too inflammatory for post-war reconciliation. But for survivors, these images were essential proof, hard evidence of atrocities many tried to deny. The Empire State Building crash in July 1945, a B-25 bomber crashed into the Empire State Building. The official photos were clean and heroic firefighters saving the day, but hidden away were images of the carnage inside, burned desks, shattered bodies, smoke-filled halls. These weren't released until the 1970s, and even then, only a few made it to the public. The Lost and the Beautiful Japan's Hidden Blossoms in 1895. An unknown Japanese photographer captured candid portraits of women laughing in gardens, playing shamisen unbound by kimonos. These informal images clashed with the Western stereotype of the submissive geisha and were buried in archives. Today they feel revolutionary, a glimpse of real lives, not post-exotica. The Library That Burned Twice. A rare photo from 1914 shows the burning of the Leuven University Library in Belgium, the flames reflected in the eyes of panicked students. Most copies of this photo were destroyed during World War II when Nazis once again set fire to the rebuilt library. One glass negative survived, rediscovered in a private collection in 2003. The Forgotten Faces of Theater in 1908. A photographer captured New York City's drag balls grand celebrations of queer culture decades before Stonewall. The photos were hidden for nearly 70 years, victims of both moral panic and neglect. When uncovered in the 1980s, they rewrote the history of LGBTQ visibility. Lessons from the shadows. Why were they hidden? Each photo tells two stories, the one in the frame and the one about why it vanished. Was it censorship, shame, or simply neglect? Whatever the reason, the result was the same. Generations grew up without these vital pieces of our shared memory. The power of seeing these photos now forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. They remind us history isn't a neat story, it's messy, raw, and human. By bringing them to light, we honor the people captured in them. We restore their voices.